But yeah, you have to, like, if you hear something crazy on Joe Rogan, you have to listen to the whole thing because you have no idea what was actually said.
Because, yeah, it's like with the anti-vaxxer thing.
Oh, man, listening to Alex Jones is our Alex Jones. Head. You know what? My grandma listens to both of them. That's the problem.
Yeah, that would be the problem.
But it concerns me how articulate and how much sense he makes. This makes me be like, that whole episode
changed my perspective on him because
we're the bad guys.
Well, you know what? That just proves that, like, our perception of him has been muddied, and I think that he's absolutely gotten things wrong. He's probably gotten heaps and heaps of things wrong, but he's also been doing whatever he does. I was going to say journalism, but I don't think you can explicitly call it journalism. Whatever the fuck he does, he's been doing it for, like, more than 20 years.
A league of his own.
Yeah.
There are heaps of crazy conspiracy theorists like that chef Pete Evans now, who's obviously just a bit loopy.
Mentally unstable.
And he's just posting stuff like there's conspiracy theorists who get their information from repost on Facebook that was created by one guy and then just got reposted 6 times and it's just Chinese whispers.
Yeah.
And then there's conspiracy theorists like Alex Jones who, like, you listen to him, you're going, oh, this is making a lot of sense.
Yeah, and that's the scary thing.
Not all of it.
Not all of it. I think the stuff he did about the school shooting was very fucked.
But even he admitted that.
But he also admitted that, and he paid the price for that. And then, I mean, to me, that's like horrible and terrible, but it's no different to what every fucking news outlet in the world has done before. They've all gotten shit wrong, and that has resulted in catastrophic, terrible things for the subject of the story.
But I think that
they should be punished for those things, but they shouldn't be never allowed to publish again unless you can prove that they are doing that shit again and again on purpose with the only intent to hurt people rather than inform or...
And there are some people like that who are just, they're trying to get clicks, they're trying to make money, and they'll say anything.
Yeah.
They're not even planning on being around for a long time. They just want to make their money now.
Yeah.
But I think that the massive swing we've seen towards conspiracy theories this year, a lot of it has got to do with the unreliability of the media.
Well, it's you know what? It's two.
Like,
I think it's two big things.
The people who are meant to be telling us the truth, they can't even get their shit together. No one can agree what the truth is. So is listening to a conspiracy theorist really that strange?
Well, it's
yes,
a few,
but
it's a few things. It's like the Iraq War being clearly based off nothing, and then most people think that 9/11 is at the very least something fishy about it. A
lot of people. I wouldn't say most people.
Well, a crazy amount of people think that there's something fishy about it, and then I think the big one though is Jeffrey Epstein. Like, that's the one that made everyone go, oh, fuck. Like my mum went, oh, but there is something happening.
Like, when it came out about all the world leaders and his island and everything, people's minds were blown. But then when he committed suicide,
that's what I mean. When Epstein killed himself, that's what made people go, because before he was dead, that was like, someone could think, oh, well, there's a lot of pedophiles and some of them just happen to be rich. It's not that crazy of a thing to think of, like, oh, well, of course rich pedophiles are going to do shit together.
Like, obviously that came out, that's not true. But when it was coming out and I was looking on Twitter, I was like, I've known about the sexual slave trade that literally kidnaps children from all over the world, traffics them, uses them until they can't be used anymore.
Yeah.
As disgusting and horrible as that is, that's a real thing that happens. The slave trade now is bigger than it has ever been when slavery was legal. Like, there are more people enslaved, obviously against their will, doesn't have any, you're doing this or we're killing you and we're killing your family.
Yeah.
And that's so when all that Wayfair stuff came out, I was like, well.
You were sucked into it big time.
But the thing is, I go, just because I know so much about sexual slave trafficking that I go, well, it wouldn't surprise me if this is the way that they do it. I don't know the way they do it. All I know is that it's true. And that's where it gets in people's heads, because there's truth. And then you go, well, what if it was this? And that's as plausible theory as anything else, because we have no idea what's going on.
With that Wayfair shit, I saw it happening as it was coming out and I was like, This one is a little bit too crazy for me. I'm going to make my judgment on whether or not that's true after the dust settles. And then the dust settles, and I look up everything like a few days after it happened, and this big article, I think it was Snopes, the fact checkers, come out and they fact check it, and they pointed all of the evidence pointing towards this could be sex trafficking, like someone's given a code or a URL and they spend $10,000 and that money's legit, and then they go somewhere else and they pick up an actual person.
It could be money laundering or something else.
It could be that, yeah.
But also the guy at the head of Wayfair has links to Epstein. That was a big thing as well.
I know.
Like with their companies and everything. And
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I look up the fact checking thing of like, well, let's see what people who maybe think this is bullshit have to say, and they list all of the evidence about this and cabinets with strange names of missing people that you can only buy if you have a code, and all this stuff and coordinates, and I'm like, oh, well, that looks pretty damning. What's the evidence against it? And then Snopes just go, here's a statement from Wayfair saying it's false. No shit, cunt. If I was trafficking kids and someone was like, hey, bro, are you trafficking kids? I'd be like, trafficking kids? Don't know what you're talking about. Hide them. They're onto us.
Oh, you know what else? The one that really got me was they were selling a pillow.
Yeah.
$10,000. It had a symbol on the pattern of the pillow that was a known pedophilia symbol.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that was the one I was like, this is all.
Yeah, and it's like, you know what? We'll never know.
And the thing is, there's always going to be things like this because there's this phenomenon with the human brain to link things that aren't linked. We want to see patterns in things.
Well, that's how we've survived for so long.
To make sense.
And that's how we remember things. You will remember who you talk to if you remember what room you were in.
Yeah, that's literally how memory experts
this
work.
Thing
They'll
links
remember
to that
10,000
thing,
things.
links to that thing.
Yeah.
It's all linked.
They make a journey in their mind. So they'll go, you know how you walk to the park every day?
Yeah.
They would go, you would remember all the items along the way, and every time you want to remember something, you would say, these things is that, and you would link it to the letterbox or that tree or that bush that you see with a mnemonic device.
Yes.
It's very complicated, but that's how it's just triggering neurons. So if you hear one thing like Wayfair cushion, it triggers other neurons. Your brain will just make a conspiracy theory. Makes a lot of sense. Put it on the internet. Turns out other people.
Yeah.
Also, it preys on the mentally ill for sure.
Oh, all that QAnon stuff is they're all just mentally ill people running around being insane. And in America especially, there's no hope for those people. There's no help. There's no hope.
That's exactly what the Joker movie was about.
Let them have their fun.